Hey guys, my name is Ryan, and we're back again with another Spirit Island video. Welcome to day 4 of the seeded game series. In this series, I have put the seeds for all the games that I'm doing in a Google Drive, so you can go check those out. You can download all of the files, and you can play the exact same game that I'm about to play before, or heck, maybe even after you see me play it here today. What are we doing today? We are playing another custom made spirit, a fan made spirit. This one is called Mushrooms Refuge, and we're going to be going against Prussia 5. In addition to all the seeded game things, if you want to try this spirit out, in the video description, you're going to have a link to the mod that you can subscribe to on Steam, so that way you can play Mushrooms Refuge as many times as you would like. So what's this spirit all about? Well, let's start with the special rules, starting with shelter communities. When Dahan would be destroyed in a land within one range of your presence, in that land, you may remove one wild to save 2 Dahan. So we have a mechanic where we can allow Dahan to counterattack. We don't need to defend the lands, but we'll just be burning our wilds tokens instead. Very interesting mechanic, a new way of using wilds, which does not exist in the game at all. Next, Thriving Bond. When your actions move any number of Dahan, each Dahan moved may bring a wilds. Okay, so those two clearly work together. The Dahan are protected by the wilds, and then the Dahan can bring the wilds with them. Allow trespass towards tempting morsels. When explorers would prevent an explore in one of your lands, you may let the explore happen and not remove a wilds token. So we have a choice whether or not we want to allow wilds to happen, which is very useful because sometimes you get wilds tokens in lands that already have buildings, and it's like, ugh, feels like a waste. Okay, so those are our special rules. We are a 0/1/1 spirit, so reclaim and gain a card is our reclaim option. Then our growth 2 is to add a presence into a land with Dahan or wilds. Then we gain an energy and a card. And then the third one is to add a presence and gain 4 energy. So we gain a lot more energy, but we do not gain a card. Instead, we get to gather a Dahan into one of our lands. If we clear our racks, we are a 5/5 spirit, so lots of energy and card plays. Though notably, we start high on card plays with 2, but low on energy. We start as 0 energy per turn. So that's very interesting. All right, taking a look at our innate powers. Our left one uses water, plant, and animal, and it's called Mutual Prosperity, targeting a Dahan, fast, range 1. And the first 2 tiers are going to add wilds tokens. And then after that, we start to do a little bit more. So the third tier, we can gather a Dahan into the target land. And then we can remove wilds. So remember that we add 2 wilds for the first 2 steps. And then with that third step, then we can remove the wild. So in total, we could like net add 0 and get all the benefits here. And that is to add an additional Dahan land, or we can restore a destroyed presence. And then finally, the ultimate tier is to add a wilds. And then once again, we can remove wilds to remove blight. So over the course of the thing, we get to add 3 wilds, and we can spend up to 4 wilds if we want to do absolutely everything. And then our right innate is slow, range 2, and targets a wilds. And this one uses moon, air, and animal, and this is going to be doing a lot of damage. So damage to explorers, or just like fear damage, push to Han, doing damage, pushing town. And then if after all of that there are still invaders present, we get even more fear and damage. But I like that, invaders have to be present for this, because in addition to doing damage, killing explorers, killing towns, cities, whatever, it also pushes a town. So in order to actually cash in on the full value of this power, we're going to need to have a lot of things happening in the land. But if there is a lot of stuff, this should work pretty efficiently, getting a total of 6 damage, pushing a town, and producing 3 fear. And a Dahan push too. All right, let's take a look at our unique power cards, starting with Mushrooms Burst from Decay. It is a 2-cost slow power, range 1 from a sacred site, targets a blight. And this just straight up does damage and adds a wild, or we can move around some wilds and remove blight. Next, we have Soporific Morals. Probably pronouncing that wrong, but this is a good old Fear and Defend 3 card, so a very clear use case. And then Gift of Flourishing is a 0-cost slow card that targets any spirit. In solo, what we're doing today, this can target ourselves. If we target ourselves, we get to add a wild to a sacred site. But if we were to target another spirit, they get a wild on one of their lands and gain an energy. And then last, we have Call to Disperse. So it simply targets Dahan, and we push Dahan. Okay, you may notice that this is all very straightforward things. I think there is a reputation for custom spirits to be very, very complicated, but this is actually a moderate complexity spirit. And I love people that are pursuing going for simpler designs because it shows a lot of constraint, and I think having that constraint is a sign of a very good design. It's really easy to throw tons and tons and tons of junk into a design and make it so big and just has no real sense of direction, and it just, doing a little bit too much. All that's unnecessary in my opinion. So I love the restraint, I love the design, I love the clear focus, and everything makes a lot of sense and what it's supposed to do. So let's get right into it. We're playing against Prussia 5, and we start off with a Sands Explore. All right, so with this, some people say that Prussia 5 is harder than Prussia 6 because you could go Sands into Sands into Sands again, and even 4 times in a row, right? Because you get the stage 1, stage 3, coast, and then Sands again. We could be hammering down on the C2 endlessly. Okay, how do I want to do this? Well, the first thing I'm thinking is that this the morals, the defend 3 works against both of these lands. Of course, it's better to do it in the land with Dahan, but I do need to be cognizant of the potential quadruple repeat in the C2 and think about getting control there as well. So maybe one thing we could do is push to Dahan. If we were to push Dahan fast into the C2, then so long as it doesn't explore here, the defend 3 will get the job done. If we do explore it, then perhaps we just add a wilds to the land, burn that wilds token in order to allow the 2 Dahan to survive. And that might be a way to gain control of this land. Now what's interesting, right, is that we start with 0 energy gain, and we could just play these 2 cards at first, right? Because we already have Dahan at range 0, and we can... Ooh, wait, that has to target a sacred site. Just kidding. That's not going to work. I guess we could fast push Dahan and then add a wild here. And then in that lands with wild... oh yeah, I forgot to mention this must target a wild. But yeah, we can then get some damage going, and we can get some work done there. So... it's a very interesting first act. And the reason why I'd want to prepare the C2 is because even if we do explore again in the C6, we get the back-to-back sands, the defend 3 still covers it. So I am strongly leaning towards just playing these 2 cards, but I want to gain as many cards as I can and really drag this out. As a general rule, your 0/1/1 spirits really want to avoid reclaiming for as long as they possibly can. So we're going to gain a minor here. And we're going to gain an energy. And I do like the Call of Dahan ways, being able to transform invaders. As a reminder, we're looking for plant and animals primarily, with waters or moon to support. No plants are being offered here, though we are being offered animals. This has a water and a moon and an animal. So this supports both of your innates. Over here, actually every single card provides the moon. That's interesting. And yeah, Twin Days I don't think is very playable in solo. So all of the other cards also provide water. So the moon water is actually not an interesting novelty. Interesting. I didn't notice that at first. Yeah, we got Infested Aquifers and Call of Dahan Ways. I think I'm going to go with Call the Dahan Ways because we get this free moon node here on the bottom track. Here's our presence tracks, by the way. We get this free moon node, so that means that we're always going to be able to transform a town. And maybe I might just play it this turn and get this guy immediately. Since we gain the 1 energy off of this, of course we could still grow top track, but like, what if we did this? We lose access to adding a wilds because of the lack of... What element did I lose? Oh, it's the plant. Yeah, not getting the plant means I lose access to a single wilds token. And because we don't get the wilds token, then we don't get you any damage. So this actually disables everything. Which tells me I need to stick to my original plan. And yeah, we can always get called at Hanwei's value later. But we'll go here, and this has to ask either a wild or Dahan. Of course, there are no wilds on the board right now. So we'll just jump on out. That's a range 2 growth, so we are good to go here. Okay, call to disperse. Push 2 Dahan from range 0. I'm actually going to push him out of the 3, just because of adjacency reasons. The 5 is more valuable. And, fast. This is a fast power, and we add a wild, so we're going to do that right away. Event. We get to skip this one, which is good because disease kills Dahan on this one. And once this last disease goes away, we can play a little bit more comfortably with our Dahan. All right, build in the sands and then explore the jungle sands. So we do get that back-to-back that we were just thinking about. Okay. All right, so let's start with this Gift of Flourishing. The only thing we can do with it is add a wilds in the C1. And then over here, we get a damage to an explorer, and then fear, damage, push a Dahan. So we get 2 total damage. We can kill 2 explorers. We get a fear, and then we get to push a Dahan. That makes it harder to make a play happen here, huh? What if we didn't take that fear and damage and push a Dahan, and then we just acted as if we had fewer elements, right? You're always allowed to do that. We can use this ability as if we don't have any plants. Therefore, we only gain access to the 1 damage to 1 Dahan. So we can undo that fear gain and put that explorer back. This is going to be a much better situation for us. So we can choose to remove the wilds to save 2 Dahan. So we'll take a blight, fully clear this on the counterattack, defend this for 3. It'll kill the town. Hopefully we can find a way to get another Dahan into this land fast. And if we do, such as with this growth option, then we'll be in a very happy place. Yeah, time passes. So if we're going to do that and gain that growth option, bring this Dahan in, I do think that's the right play. It just means that we go here. We get a second card play. I could go here. And if I gain a plant off of this, we get a wilds. And if I gain a moon, I get nothing. And if I gain an animal, I get nothing. Okay, so the only way I can improve my situation is by going top track and picking up a plant. And that would be good for a wilds token. But you know what? I do want the double moon, because what I'm thinking is that we can gather this Dahan over, and then in this land, we can have the town turn into a Dahan. Yeah, so we're going to go here. And this presence can go anywhere, and then we get to gather a Dahan. So we'll go here, we'll go here. And then we'll do this for a fear, defend 3. And then, yes, our fascinate, we do not hit the elements for. We do not gain access to that plant. Oh, and I should probably gain my 4 energy. That's a big deal, because now we can go for a major power. Event. Rising interest in the island. Ooh, this is tough because that means that this defend is no longer going to be sufficient. I guess what we could. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. So we can add a town to a land without a town, or if we have air, so we could forget the call to disperse. We could also just pay for energy, and if we do that, then we burn the top fear card, and then buildings do extra damage. Now, the Dahan portion of this allows us to add a wild to a land with Dahan, which means that we could blight counterattack here, blight counterattack here, and then both of these lands would be empty with a wild in them. Setting up our stage 3 is going to be a very simple turn. So that could be a very good thing for us. And also having blight in the 3 lands that are all adjacent to our sacred site when our damage card and also acts as blight removal has to be range 1 from a sacred site. It's a very interesting setup. Like, it's not really a bad thing in my opinion. Yeah, burning the top invader card is generally not a good thing to do. But we are in a pretty strong position. I feel like we're in a strong position. Yeah, I'd really like to not take blight if I can avoid it. Because if I eat a blight here, like if we just like whiff on our draft, I'd like to be able to remove a blight and then keep on going. Right? So if I take one, so therefore we are going to burn the top invader card and add a town to land number 5. Okay? Add a jungles to a beast to a jungles and get a fear, and then a wilds and a land with Dahan. And then here we go. We get to Ravage. So we're going to burn this wilds. We take a blight, but the Dahan doesn't die. We get the counterattack. Over here, we're fully defended. So we get that counterattack. Then we can build in the jungles and explore the sands. Okay. So explore, add a town to a land with no town. We're definitely going to go up to the 8. Let these lands just solve themselves, and we can go from there. All right, call the Dahan ways. This Dahan becomes... Well, sorry. We created Dahan by getting rid of that town. It's transformed. And then last, in a land with wilds, we get a damage to an explore, a damage, and a fear. And a Dahan push. If I push this Dahan, I could just reclaim and then defend it for 3. Since we know we're going to have a free turn. Yeah, so we'll take the fear. And we can reclaim, and maybe we just go for a major. Like, we're super rich. Let's just see if we can get some game-ending power. Something like Strangling Firevines. If we're already really good at adding wilds tokens, why not go for it? Our sands on board C gives us 100% adjacency. So we're never going to be prevented from doing what we want with this card. And the plant fire thing, so we can pick up the plant here and just threshold this on 2 card plays. So long as our other card play is Mushrooms Burst from Decay. So we could just, since we don't get to add a presence on Reclaim, we could just do this next turn. Right, play those 2, or we could play a 3rd card. Whichever way that we choose to do it, I am very heavily looking at the Strangling Firevines, if for no other reason, just leaning into the theming of it. But, yeah, I mean, gosh, if the Wild Spirit doesn't take the Wilds card, then what are we doing here? And what card to dump? Maybe this Gift of Nourishing? Being able to add a wilds, though, in the same timing with the Strangling Firevine does feel like a good move. We know we need to play our defend 3 this turn. Maybe we throw a Call of Dahan Ways out there. And then, because we could use this to push a Dahan in order to set ourselves up. So therefore, yeah, I do think it's actually this Gift of Flourishing that we'll forget for the Strangling Firevines. And we are off to the races. I always say that back-to-backs aren't necessarily good or bad, they're just different. And this is a situation where the triple back-to-back in the sands, because we went so aggressively to solve those, it's actually an actively good thing for us. Assuming we don't get screwed on this event with, like, +1 damage, we will be cruising our way through the next portion of the game. Okay. We got our defend. There's nothing fast. Let's go to the invader phase, and we get tight-knit communities, so buildings have bonus HP. Okay? That means we're not going to get a town kill in C4, but we can kick it down to 1 HP if we have a way to add wilds there, which we don't. So maybe not that. Anyways, each beast kills an explorer. Hey! And then added Dahan to a coastal land with Dahan. And then Strife on a building not matching a Ravage card. So we're going to Strife way the heck back here in the land where we have no control whatsoever. Okay, we're going to Ravage, and then buildings have bonus HP, so we're just going to put 1 damage on it instead of 2. Build the sands, and explore the mountains. Okay. Okay. So we don't have Dahana Wilds in the same land that's also adjacent to mountains, so there's no way for us to use Call the Dahan Ways in that situation. So I guess all I can really do is just transform you, and we do get a fear, so I'll take the fear, and I don't know, we could like ping you. I guess it's better to ping this town and then push Dahan this way, making it 1 step away in both directions. Time passes. Okay. So if we were to play all 3 of these, I think this would be a good thing, right? So we could grow here, push Dahan over, and then we can add wilds to this land. Strangling Firevines will blow it up. Or Strangling Firevine, or we could use Strangling Firevines here. So that should get 6 damage. So yeah, I'm going to gain a minor, gaining an energy, and kind of no matter what we pick, we're going to be reclaiming all again next turn. I think we want to keep this one cheap. Let's go with, let's see, we need Plant Animal as the way to go. Set them on an Ever-Twisting Trail as a Plant Animal card. We have no Plant Animal on these 2. Call to Migrate, honestly, just bulk Dahan movement might be what we need. Because the wilds and the Dahan are very synergistic, right? If you have one but not the other, you're just not really going to be able to do everything that you want to do. So having access to greater Dahan movement gives us more flexibility on everything. And I think that's where we want to be. Okay, fast phase. We can go here and push to Dahan. And then we can add 2 wilds to this land. Invader phase. What do we get? During the next Ravage action, Sands, which is empty, increase the damage invaders do to the land, but not to harm by the current invader stage. This has no effect because there are no invaders in the Sands. isolate a land with beast, and then a fear if invaders are present. So we'll ISO you and take that fear. And then on each board with 5 or more Dahan, which we certainly are, add a Dahan to the land with the most Dahan. 1 fear card, terror level 1. We get to remove an explorer or town from a land with 2 or more Dahan. Whoopa! We get to remove the town from the C3. One thing I'm noticing is we have really good board control, but we're producing no fear. We've earned like 9 fear, and it's turn 4. So we're averaging, what, like 2 fear a turn? We're heading into stage 3. Remember, we have the accelerated game because we had to pitch a card earlier off the top of the invader deck. So not producing fear could do really bad things for us. Ravage with the bonus damage. Build. Explore the mountain wetlands. We're going to choose to keep all these wilds around. We need the wilds for the Strangling Firevine damage. And of course, there's a building here. So it really doesn't accomplish anything to get rid of it. All right, so Strangling Firevine. So originating from the C6, targeting the C7. We get to destroy all the explorers. Then we add a wilds to the target land and to the originating land. And then 1 damage per wilds or 1 damage per wilds that are in or adjacent to target land, plus 1 per wild. So 2 damage for each of these wilds, aka we get 6 damage killing off city town. Next, we have Mushrooms Burst from Decay. We can use this a couple different ways. I'm going to choose to... Oh, you know what? We could have consumed this wilds to stop that explorer. Use this Mushrooms Burst from Decay first to get 2 damage and then add a wilds. And then we still get all of the damage here for the Strangling Firevines. That's a better way to do it. That's more efficient. I like that. And last in a land with wilds, we can kill an explorer. So I guess we could have done it both ways. I guess actually it would have been better to do it the other way. But I guess undoing the undo, doing the undo, that might be asking a little too much. Okay. The energy constraints are really getting to me, and I kind of regret going for that major, dumping a 0-cost card, because we are reclaiming all, and we're at 0 energy, 1 energy for the turn. Like, whew, we're a little broke. So we might take Nature's Connection literally as an energy battery, and that's not a good thing. What I like better, actually, is this Call to Guard. So we can use Call to Disperse to kick these 2 Dahan out, and then Call to Guard to bring it over for a Defend 3 against Explorer City. That will full clear the land. So we can Call to Disperse. I mean, we can do this turn, next turn, whatever. But this turn, we just need to do a Defend. So I guess we might as well Call to Disperse because, like, why not? And then we're broke. So that's all she wrote. Fear. Defend 3. I guess we don't have to defend, but we don't have anything else to do. What else could we do? We could call the Dahan Ways in the 1. Maybe that's the play. Let this Ravage and then chuck a wild so it all goes. Yeah, let's try that. Okay, sorry. We'll go call the Dahan Ways. So we don't get a fear. We don't get defend. I already took the fear away. All we get is a double Dahan push. All right, event. We get extensive building. Build in a land with invaders, not matching a build card. So let's build a city in the C1. Disease and Strife does not ravage. Okay, that has no effect. Push a land with town and Dahan. Push 1 town per 2 Dahan there. I'm going to choose this land, which means no pushes are going to happen. And then, let's see, Terror level 1. Each player removes an explorer or town from a land where it's the only invader which there are none that are qualifying. Had I pushed like this or something, I would have had choices, but alas, I do not. Ravage in the Mountains, we're going to take a Blight, lose a Presence, but we're going to burn a Wilds to keep our Dahan alive and get that counterattack. Then we build mountains, build wetlands, and then we explore the mountain jungles. Notice how this has no source for invaders. And we're going to take a explore here, but I think I'm going to burn the wilds. I'm going to burn the wilds in the 7. We're going to let the C3 explore because it's going to counterattack and kill itself. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. And then in the slow phase, we can call the Dahan ways to transform this town into a Dahan. And then we have access to a damage as well as fear, damage, push a Dahan. So we can go here. And do I want to be pushing the fear? I don't think so. Let's not push any fear. I don't think we gain any benefit from it. So we'll go time passes. So we know we need to call to guard. In order to clean up everything in the 8. I would certainly like to be able to Strangling Firevine soon to end this game. But that is a rich man's to ask. We could go for like a Mushroom's Decay. Maybe we go for like a Call to Disperse. We can hit this Reclaim 1. If we do that, then we get a little something something across the board. Yeah, with the Call to Disperse, it means that we probably should have taken the free fear. But it's alright. We'll commit to not taking it. I'm going to gain an energy. Gain a minor. And, ooh, Gift of Power. That might be the play instead of Call to Disperse. Because Call to Disperse is just kind of a 0-cost card that exists. We can still reclaim it to our hands. And then we can play the Gift of Power instead. Taking this Reclaim 1. Go here. I wonder, though, instead of reclaiming 1, what if we took an animal? That gives us access to some innates. So we could do this and then not reclaim the Call to Disperse. That gets us a little bit of activity. Yeah, then by going top track, we could choose to go for the 4 energy, and then we can play all of these cards next turn. That might be the way to go. Yeah, we'll do this. So we'll call to guard, defend for 3. And we get to add a wild to a land with Dahan, so we can do that here. In case things go sideways, we can at least protect our Dahan from dying. And then we got the Invader Phase event. Ooh, Far Off Wars. So we have to add a fear card to the fear deck, which makes it harder to hit the next terror level. Now, what we could do is we could flip the... we could double blight here in the 8 and then just kill both town city. I think it's unnecessary because they're going to die anyways. But if we did that, they would both die and then we'd hit terror level 2 immediately because you get 4 fear flat as well as, you know, the stuff that you destroyed. So that gets us enough fear to earn 2 fear cards up to terror level 2, which in theory could end the game on the spot for us. But I feel like the risk is just like not worth it. I feel like we're so close to winning. All we have to do is just not screw this up. So we're just going to be stuck without enough fear for a minute. But we're going to get rid of the town. That's called Blunt the Offensive. And then we can ecosystem damage, adding a Badlands here. Badlands, by the way, it looks like something that will be really good for us, considering we have like 1 damage pings. So that Badlands makes a huge difference. And then gather 1 or 2 Dahan into a land with setup symbols. So we could bring all these guys home to roost in the C1. And the key point here is that we can reclaim and play the Cultic Guard again to defend and end the game. Ravage the mountain wetlands. Build the mountain jungles. Explore the sands mountains. Mountains coming up again. No source. We can keep you going because why not? Here, and let's burn this wilds. Or I guess we can, because we have 1 damage to explore sitting as a right innate, we can let it through, and then we can kill it later. Okay. Slow phase. Right innate. 1 damage to an explorer. Whoopa. Next, we have a Gift of Power to gain a miner. And what do we have? Nothing too spicy. I guess I'm just looking for like more defense. But I guess we have a defend 3 as well as our call to guard for a total of defend 7, which is plenty. But let's take this territorial strife. It might turn into something good. And then last we got our mushrooms burst from decay. So we can gather a wild and then remove a blight. Time passes. Okay. So if we go here, we hit the reclaim 1 for this, and then we can throw down something else. Let's gain a miner. Inflame the Fires of Life could be interesting. Gets us access to our damage, and then we can get our triple stack of animals in order to hit the all. That could be a good way of going about it. I like that. Yeah, and because we get the free plant here, we can have our optional node turn into an animal, and then we just hit everything. We get all of our innates. And I will go here with my Sacred Site. And here we go. So we get a Fear Defend 3 and a Defend 4 for a total of Defend 7. Assuming nothing crazy happens, that should be game-ending power. But we do get to add 2 wilds in a land with Dahan. So let's go here. And we head to the Invader phase. Last chance for things to go wrong. Add a Explorer to a land with Blight. That is not so bad. Beasts can push explorers or towns, which there is not something that we're looking to do. And then in each land with buildings, 1 damage per Dahan, and then surviving buildings deal counterattack damage. So kill the city, ping the town. Once 1 more damage is dealt, we'll hit Terror level 2 and instantly win the game. But let's see what the Fear card has to say. Defend 3 on the coast. Great. Ravage the mountains. Ravage the jungles. Terror level 2. Whoopa. That felt like a really clean game. Maybe it's just because like this whole wilds thing, we have a really, really good Prussia matchup. But I felt very strong there. Things worked out real good for us. And yeah, definitely want to showcase the whole like back-to-back-to-back thing. Like take a look, right? We got triple sands into quadruple mountains. And if you take a look, we're totally fine. The back-to-back-to-back again doesn't really matter. In fact, in these mountains, as soon as we got control of it once, the explorers kept on coming and then kept on dying for free. I think that's a really important thing to understand. I think as just a general heuristic, people say, oh man, the back-to-backs are always so brutal. But they're only brutal if you let them get brutal. If you are conscientious and you just get after the problem immediately, it's not a problem at all. Well, anyways, what do you guys think of Mushrooms Refuge? Does this look like a cool spirit? It felt pretty smooth and easy to play to me. I definitely got trapped into taking this major way too early. It was a good little trap. I think that's a sign of a good design where, you know, your players get really comfortable with what they're doing, and that can lead to some sneaky mistakes. Once again, if you want to play this spirit against, and for any reason, in the description of this video, you can subscribe to the mod add-on for Tabletop Simulator. And if you want to play this seed or any other seed in the Seeded Game series, there's a link to the Google Drive as well. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Hope y'all have a glorious day.